There is no standard commission that says how much an agent has to charge when they are listing your property or how much they're supposed to give to the buyer's agent for bringing them a buyer. That's what today's video is about. Whose responsibility is it to pay the agent's commission? So welcome back for another Real Estate Wednesday. If you're new here, my name is Ryan Henze. I run the Top Hat Connections real estate team, serving Tulsa and the surrounding areas. So if you didn't know, there is a lawsuit going on currently about this very issue. I'm going to kind of give you my take on it and also how it actually works, because I think there's a little bit of misconception in just the industry and with the consumers on how the process actually works. So if I'm a listing agent and I come to list your property, I'm going to charge you a percentage of the sale for a commission to do the transacting of real estate. I'm not going to get into all the things that an agent does because it obviously will vary from agent to agent because we're all independent contractors. There's no real standard of how you have to do it, though there is a code of ethics, but that's a whole nother video. Let's just say, for example, remember, like I said at the beginning, there is no standard, but there is kind of a what's expected based on the market and the area that you're in. For example, let's say I do 6%. Now, who's actually paying me the 6%? Well, obviously the seller, right? But when the buyer's agent comes along, who is paying the buyer's agent? Is the seller paying it, or is the real estate agent, the listing agent that listed the house, paying the buyer's agent for bringing them a buyer? Well, that's where things get a little bit sticky. But that goes back to my original thing. There is no standard of what actually has to be paid to the buyer's agent. In my area, though, for the local market that I live in, typically a buyer's agent is expecting to see 3% as compensation for them bringing their buyer and doing all of the buyer side's paperwork for the transaction. What typically happens is I will list a house, say it's 6%, I keep 3% to handle the seller's side of the transaction, and I choose to give away 3% because that's what's expected in my area to the buyer's agent for bringing me a buyer and handling the buyer side of the paperwork. Now, I could offer less and I could offer more. Some agents may take a listing at, say, 7% and they split it 50-50, so it's 3.5 and 3.5. Or maybe they take 7 and keep 4 and still give away 3. No one really knows what, or there's no standard of how it has to be. Important to note that what the buyer's agent's commission is based on what the listing agent chooses to give the buyer's agent to bring property or to bring them a buyer. Now, it could be said that I could offer 2% to the buyer's agent. Now, that's actually hurting the seller because I've chosen to give less money to the buyer's agent for bringing me a buyer, and I'm keeping more for myself. Now, that's perfectly legal to do, but in that sense, it's a negotiated amount between the buying agent and the selling agent. The seller, while the funds do come from the seller because that's what I charged you, it's my choice as a listing agent how much I want to give to the buyer's agent. And that's where the whole kind of circle came about with the whole lawsuit. So there's no standard of what it has to be, but the commission that's being paid for the buyer's agent is decided by the listing agent. There's no standard of what we have to give. And I think that's where the misconception came in with the lawsuit, is they were saying, well, I have to pay this much or I can't sell my house. No, there's nothing that says you have to pay a certain amount of commission. There's no required amount, but there is what's expected in the area, and it varies from state to state, from market to market. So that's really the crux of the whole issue there, is I think there's just a lack of explaining, and maybe this video has made it more confusing. Hopefully not. But at the end of the day, there is no standard. It's completely up to the agent's discretion and what a seller is willing to pay and what an agent is willing to accept, and then what the buyer's agent is willing to accept from what the seller's agent offered the buyer. So hopefully that's as clear cut as I can make it. So I hope that helps you out. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, share it with someone who might find it helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.